The more you seek, the more you find. Well, this is perhaps the truest statement when it comes to biology. In 1665, Robert Hooke discovered using a microscope that corks had tiny pore-like structures within them. He named these pores cells. The word cell derives from the Latin word cella, which means a simple room. And even though Hooke discovered the cell, he was not able to get a complete understanding of what cells were or what their function was. Fast forward to 1838, when the cell theory was first proposed by Matthias Schleiden and Theodor Schwann. The theory stated that both plants and animals are made up or are a product of cells, and that these cells also contain a nucleus within them. Unfortunately, the star of our video, the endoplasmic reticulum, remained unknown until 1897, when a French cytologist, Charles Garnier, first gave it some much-needed attention. Garnier termed this newfound structure as ergastoplasm. Yeah, not a cute name. Sounds like a nasty infection, doesn't it? Fortunately, the endoplasmic reticulum only had to live with this name for 5 whole decades. But in 1953, Keith Porter renamed the organelle endoplasmic reticulum. The term reticulum was added to describe the tubular network visualized under an electron microscope. After decades of study on the ER, which is short for endoplasmic reticulum, we now have a deeper understanding of what it is and what its functions are within the cell. It took more than 350 years for humans to discover and understand some of this organelle's basic functions, but the process of fully realizing the potential of the ER is still underway. Perhaps it could be you who discovers that the ER has some unknown function that could hold the secret gateway to eternal life. But before all that, first let me introduce you to the structure and function of the endoplasmic reticulum. The endoplasmic reticulum is the cell organelle that produces, processes, and secretes proteins. This organelle is found in almost every cell in humans and other animals and plants. The function of the endoplasmic reticulum is not limited just to protein syntheses. The endoplasmic reticulum also acts as a storage site for calcium and is an essential component in the production of lipids and steroids. But what does the endoplasmic reticulum look like? As the popular saying goes, form follows function. The endoplasmic reticulum has a structure designed to enable it to efficiently carry out its functions. And of all the eukaryotic organelles, the endoplasmic reticulum has the most architecturally striking structure, let me tell you. Once you know what the endoplasmic reticulum looks like, you will never be able to miss it under a microscope or on a textbook. If we look at the structure of the endoplasmic reticulum, it basically looks like a bunch of rough sheets and smooth tubules. It kind of sounds like a racy movie name, right? But I digress. The ER is a network of interconnected flattened sheets known as cisternae and branching tubules that extend from the nucleus to the rest of the cell. These sheets and tubules are made up of a phospholipid membrane continuous with the membrane that surrounds the nucleus, and similar to the membrane that you find surrounding the entire cell. This network of tubules is held in place with the help of the cytoskeleton. In terms of morphology, the endoplasmic reticulum can be classified as rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. We call it rough endoplasmic reticulum because if we look at the surface of the rough ER, we notice the presence of membrane-bound ribosomes. Whereas in smooth ER, we do not find any membrane-bound ribosomes. Rough endoplasmic reticulum accounts for 60% of the endoplasmic reticulum, while the remaining 40% is then smooth ER. Before we talk separately more about the rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum, I believe we should turn the spotlight to ribosomes for just a moment. So ribosomes are complex molecules where protein synthesis or translation occurs. They are little factories, let's say. Every ribosome has two subunits, a larger and a smaller subunit. These subunits contain ribosomal RNA molecules and proteins which are essential for mRNA translation. Remember, mRNA translation is one of the final steps in the conversion of the information that you have in your DNA to an actual protein. Now, we're going to focus on the rough endoplasmic reticulum for a moment. The lumen of the rough endoplasmic reticulum is slightly smaller in width than the lumen of the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. The lumen is the space we find between the membrane walls of the endoplasmic reticulum sheets and tubules. So the lumen of the rough ER is 20 to 30 nanometers wide, whereas the lumen of the smooth ER is about 30 to 60 nanometers in width. The rough endoplasmic reticulum plays a central role in protein synthesis. It is where proteins are synthesized, modified, transformed, and finally released. Protein synthesis begins with the translation of mRNA by ribosomes that are attached to the rough endoplasmic reticulum membranes. These proteins go on to be a part of the cell membrane or are transported out of the cell to other destinations. Proteins are essential for many physiological processes within the cells, such as cell signaling, DNA synthesis and repair, transport of molecules, forming cellular structure, and I could go on and on. Without rough endoplasmic reticulum, there would be no proteins, and without proteins, the cell would not be able to survive. Hell, we would not be able to survive. So you now know why we need to devote some attention to the endoplasmic reticulum, right? Unlike the rough endoplasmic reticulum, which is located close to the nucleus, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum is mainly located near the cell periphery. Although the smooth endoplasmic reticulum has no ribosomes attached to it, its structure is actually more complex than that of the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Membranes lining the smooth ER follow a tortuous course and are irregular in size. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum has many functions, including synthesis of lipids, steroids, carbohydrates, as well as the metabolism of exogenous substances such as drugs or toxins. The functions of the smooth ER vary depending on the type of cell. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum found in muscle cells has a special name. It is called the sarcoplasmic reticulum, which regulates calcium ion concentrations during muscle contraction and relaxation. In the adrenal glands, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum secretes cholesterol, which is a precursor of steroid hormones. In the liver, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum synthesizes and stores enzymes essential for detoxification. Essentially, it helps you get rid of things that are bad for your body, like alcohol and drugs. Now, we have reached the end of this tutorial. Click on the next video to continue learning. And don't forget to like this video if you want to tell me and YouTube you want to see more of these. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next upload. Till then, I will see you next time.